River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan here along with James above me this time. James, say hello.
What's up, Niner Nation? Yes, I got my Philly shirt on for tonight's game. We're recording on Monday.
Yes, and we have a very special guest joining us. As you can see above me on my opposite side, Buckeye Mike. Welcome to the show. First time here on the pod with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And guys, this is a very, very special Victory Monday. This is probably the most glorious Victory Monday we've had.
Can I take my victory lap? Can I take my victory lap? Just like spin around here and just be like, woo, yeah, I called it.
Don't tangle your headphones. I've never been so happy to be wrong about a blowout in my life. I'm so happy that what I predicted didn't happen. It wasn't decided by 7 points. It was decided by 32 points as we routed the Dallas Cowboys 42-10.
Do you still have the text that I sent you right before the game as to what I told you?
Like, oh, yeah, that it was going to be utter domination.
I said, sit back, relax as you watch your 49ers crush the Cowboys.
Oh, I'm so glad you called it. As you called, we'll talk about the picks later. But, yeah, you called a lot of the stuff this weekend, so you can take the reins on the parlay picks for the foreseeable future, too. But, no, I'll get the nerdy number stuff out of the way because there's some of these stats that we just absolutely cannot ignore. Like I said, it was a 42-10 routing over the Dallas Cowboys. Our last game at home in this 3-game home streak, because we're going on the road next week. Brock Purdy had 252 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles, and a passer rating. Oh, I had it right here. Here we go. His passer rating was an absurd 144. George Kittle had 3 touchdowns. All of our backs had touchdowns. J.P. Mason, Christian McCaffrey, and Kyle Juszczyk had a receiving touchdown. It was just whatever we wanted to do to them, the Cowboys let us do it to them on offense. And then on defense, I actually have that right here. On defense, not only did we only allow 10 points, we had 3 interceptions, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and 4 sacks.
And how many yards? Do you have how many yards the Cowboys actually got on you? Because, like, it had to be something like 150 or something like that.
Not that low, but it was 197.
197, under 200.
Under 100 rushing yards, 140 passing yards, 4 turnovers, only 8 first downs to our 25.
Their offense is futile. I told you all this. The Texas Coast offense, as Mike McCarthy is saying, he doesn't even know how to run the stupid offense. He's saying they need to be more balanced. Does he not know that Bill Walsh made the West Coast offense and made short passes as an extension of the run game? You're not more balanced with the West Coast offense. You're a little bit pass heavy. Like, he's just an idiot, and I saw this coming. So, yeah.
Mike McCarthy, I can agree with you there. Mike McCarthy's not that smart. The last nerdy number thing I want to say before I open the floor, in terms of overall where we're at, in terms of overall offense, overall defense, we are the 3rd best defense and the 3rd best offense. In terms of defense, we are number 1 in points, and we're only behind the Ravens by less than 1 yard. And then we're way behind the Browns. Somehow the Browns have been number 1 for 5 weeks. They had a bye this week, though. But
what do you mean number 1? Browns are number 1 in what? Rush or pass?
Total yards.
Oh, total yards. Okay.
Total average. They're at literally like 198. Like, I don't know how they're under 200. But yeah, they had a bye this week, so
I'm sure Buckeye Mike knows why they're so good on defense.
Perfect man to ask. You technically have the number 1 defense right now. Still, enjoy your bye.
And
but yeah,
look towards our Friday episode because we are going to be covering the 49ers and Browns game since Buckeye Mike has decided to join us here.
Yes. And then, yeah, in terms of the overall offense, yeah, we're basically only behind your Philadelphia Eagles, James, and the Miami Dolphins. But we're still the 3rd overall offense, which I don't know. I don't know how better to put it, what that says about us, that we're the third best defense and we're the third best offense. And we routed the Cowboys the way that they routed the Patriots. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted at just how balanced and just how dominant we look in 5 games. We've had 5 games in a row now of at least 30 points. Brock Purdy has yet to have an interception. He's just orchestrating this Kyle Shanahan offense like he's been playing in it for 10 years. I don't even know. I open the floor to you guys.
Dan, you have DraftKings. What's Brock Purdy's odds on winning the MVP? Last week they were plus 2,200. What are they now?
Let's see. I will pull up the futures. What was that?
You're going to want to look up awards, NFL awards or whatever. I think that's what.
I am doing this on the fly. Here we go. The award for MVP. Brock Purdy is now 4th at plus 700 behind Hurts, Tua, and Patrick.
Wow, that's quite the jump. I think bettors are thinking bet heavy on Brock Purdy. Kind of wish we would have taken that bet last week.
Dude, he fits the criteria. We should have taken that bet. What is he not doing to be the MVP other than not being in the league for 5 years up to this point? What is he not doing?
Yes. I mean, Buckeye Mike, what do you think? I mean, did you watch the game? Tell us what you think of Brock Purdy.
I didn't get to watch much of the game live anyway, but Brock Purdy surprises me to a degree. I think he's earned the right to have the label Mr. Irrelevant yanked away from him. I think
Mr. Relevant now.
Yes, Mr. Relevant. And he's obviously the greatest Mr. Irrelevant that has ever existed. Sorry, Ryan Suckup. You have been supplanted by Brock Purdy.
In games that he has played the majority of snaps and didn't break his elbow, I'm counting the Dolphins game. He is 13-0, 12-0 if you don't count the Dolphins game. He's undefeated in games that he doesn't get hurt and plays the majority of snaps. I don't want to hear anybody question anymore or say that, oh, it's a product of Kyle, because we've seen quarterbacks fail with Kyle's system before. Nick Mullins was only good for 1 game. CJ never got it together. Trey never got it together. Jimmy's health and decision making were the only things that were holding him back. And that decision making is a factor that Purdy has that Jimmy didn't. Purdy's brain makes up for anything that you could hold against him. His arm looks perfectly fine. You can see in that really deep second touchdown pass that he had to George Kittle, his arm looks perfectly fine. I don't know what else does Purdy need to do to win people over?
I mean, he's throwing balloons at darts. I mean, it's not the zippiest throw, but it's right on the money. It's right over defenders. Kyle Van Der Esch needed to work on his vertical leap a little bit, just it just right over his fingers and right into the receiver's hands. I mean, you can't ask any more from Brock Purdy than what he is doing running this offense. I've always said it, since we started the show, Kyle has always wanted a quarterback like this. He didn't have it in Trey. He didn't have it in Jimmy. Now he has his quarterback that can run his offense, get a bunch of air yards, and just sling the freaking football. And then guess what? If you stop the pass somehow, we can beat you up with the run game.
Dude, we can even talk about, we don't need to spend so much time on it, but even on special teams, we dominated in all 3 phases of the game. Did you guys even notice that Ronnie Bell pinned 2 punts behind the 5-yard line?
Yeah.
Literally nothing could go Dallas's way last night, and it was glorious.
No. I know. I love a good Dallas beatdown, being a Philly fan.
Right. Let me never doubt you when it comes to Dallas evaluation ever again. It's just crazy. I mean, Mike, I see feed Debo all day. It wasn't a big Debo day, but he did turn his limited touches into over 50 yards, just like Brandon. It wasn't either of their days, but they made the most of their catches while Kittle was getting all the touchdowns. I mean, what inspired you to pick feed Debo for your name tag there?
thought of something on the fly, honestly. And Ronnie Bell being a Michigan grad, me being a Buckeye fan, as much as I like Ronnie Bell on the 49ers, I feel like I'm not allowed to like Ronnie Bell. But I love the production that San Francisco is getting out of Ronnie Bell. It proves that, that conference can produce NFL talent. Because, with Mr. JF up north, Justin Fields in Chicago, he's getting a lot of, Big Ten can't produce anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, I mean, the Justin Fields, he just needs the right weapons and the right coordinator and stuff like that. He has shown promise. So
DJ Moore proved that he can be that number one for him finally.
Yeah.
It took 5 weeks, or it took 3 weeks, but the last 2 weeks, oh my God.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead. Buckeye Mike, tell, a little bit more,
But I mean, when I started following San Francisco more religiously, it was all centered around Debo. It was this year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
2019.
I started okay, San Francisco is a legitimate contender. And honestly, if you hadn't run into these guys, you probably fixed this last year.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be we're going to the Super Bowl shirt. This would be what this one. Well, that's not the champion shirt. You both would have one right now.
I have no idea. That's what I was complaining about before. The great mystery is that we'll never know who really, I use the term loosely, really won that game because Purdy got hurt on the second drive of the game.
Well,
and
I think
you can't play with, and then Josh Johnson got a concussion, so we had to literally play with a broken quarterback. Literally broken.
I mean, yeah, I think we'll find out week 13. I mean, it's heading towards this collision course, and honestly, still with the Eagles looking, their defense looking dominant against that Rams offense. The Eagles offense still hasn't, hit their stride yet. And Jalen Hurts had over 300 yards of offense yesterday. The Eagles left points on the board, and they're still not playing their best football. So we're hoping by week 13, and the 49ers are undefeated, the Birds are undefeated, and we're going to have this major clash of the Titans. And who knows who might win?
Does the prospect of us not hitting our potentials frighten you after 5 weeks in a row of 30 points? And then our defense has now become the number 1 point defense by an average of 14.6. Does that terrify you that we might not be at our peak yet?
I think you guys are at your peak. That's personally what I think. The way Purdy is slinging in this offense and with the way the defense is, this team looks like they're on a mission. This 49ers team looks like get us to week 13, get us to the playoffs, and get us that number 1 seed, because if it's at home in it's Levi, right? Levi Stadium?
Yeah, we're at the Denim Stadium, or I can't remember what the nickname is. I think it's it's the Denim something.
So get us the Levi Stadium with that number 1 seed, and they're trying to prove that we are the team to beat. We are the number 1 team in the league, and they're playing like it. As much as I love my Eagles, the 49ers are still playing like the number 1 team in the league, and there's no question. I mean, the Eagles are still leaving points on the table. There's turnovers that are going on. You're not seeing that with the 49ers. The 49ers are really humming right now. And by week 13, who knows what we could have, but we might have the first 13 and the first 12-0 2 teams going up against each other.
Dude, this isn't even with what Randy Gregory could bring on the table. Listeners, we didn't do an emergency pod for the Randy Gregory trade, but I feel like we need to dedicate a little minute right now to talk about how big this trade potentially could be. I'm not a Randy Gregory expert by any means. I read a little bit about him, but And feel free to chime in. James, you're definitely more familiar with him. Mike, I assume you know a little bit more about him too. But because he was at Wisconsin, right? Wasn't that where he was? Wasn't that his alma mater, if you remember? Not to put you on the spot. But anyway, the Randy Gregory trade happened while we were off, and Denver just wanted to get rid of him. We thought that they filed the paperwork to release him, and they didn't. And so John Lynch, our great GM, slid into Denver's DM and said, hey, what do you want for him? I don't want him on the market. What do you want for him? And it turns out all they wanted was a 6th-round pick, and they sent him over with a 7th-round pick. And to top it all off, we are only paying the $800K veterans minimum required for him to be on the roster, and Denver is flipping the rest of that $10 million. So we still have $41 million of cap space right now, and we just signed Randy freaking Gregory to add to our pass rush.
Woo!
He didn't even play yesterday.
Woo! Fire sale, fire sale, fire sale. That's the Denver Broncos right now. They're just fire sale. We got. Who do you want? Do you want a quarterback? Do you want a linebacker? What do you want, guys? Because we're giving up everything because we gave up 3 number ones for a washed-up quarterback.
What's the over-under of Patrick Surtain actually saying?
Surtain's going to be gone. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on the Eagles for a low cost. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to think that this team is humming and John went out and got another piece. Like, John's really working and dealing, and do
you have any notes on Randy Gregory? Because you've gone against him a few times.
I mean, I don't quite remember him doing anything to us. The last time we played Denver, we beat them pretty handily, I believe. Schooled Patrick Surtain on a route by Devontae Smith. So Denver,
I meant when he was on Dallas, because he started his career with Dallas.
Oh, Dallas! I can't think of any plays that in recent memory when he was on Dallas, but I mean, it's another piece. It's another, I guess, good piece. That is, John's just collecting and collecting and collecting, and we still have
$41 million in cap space to play with because Denver is paying to get Randy Gregory out of that locker room. It's just crazy. I don't know. We couldn't really have done an emergency one. I was very tempted to, though, just because. But in my reading of it, I know that there was like, he's never played a full season. He likes to smoke marijuana. I don't know. Mike, do you have any thoughts on Randy Gregory before we move forward?
Yeah, pretty basic on my end. Just looking him up real quick. 6'2", 6'5", I think, 232. He'll bring some depth to the linebacker position. I feel like overall, I think it's a good move. If you look at what you got for him and the actual trade itself, it's a great move. I mean, honestly, I'm jealous of the 49ers with the GM that they have and the front office that they have, because I wish Cleveland could be that way. I mean, we'll get more into it later, but I just,
instead of putting all your eggs into literally one player.
Yeah.
And well, I have some words on that because, and we'll talk about it on Friday's show, but just so you know, I'm a Paul DiPodesto fan. Mr. Moneyball, I'm a big Paul DiPodesto fan. So, but we'll talk more about that on Friday, and this if you want to get into it. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty decent move by John, and
former first-round pick. He can play linebacker, and presumably he's going to be brought in situationally for pass rush, because if there is one thing that I feel like an honest 49ers fan can say is that we haven't quite had the sack totals that we would be hoping for with reigning defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa, Armstead, and we brought in Hargrave in free agency. Sealand Farrell's been doing fine, not great. Drake Jackson had a great first game, but he's not quite lived up to that yet. So having a little extra oomph in the pass rush, since we're not free blitzing with the linebackers or the safeties as much as you would expect, from Steve Wilkes. Thankfully, I'm not complaining on that. I don't want to leave one safety hanging in the wind as often, but no. So adding Randy Gregory for that extra coverage in the middle, like Fred has been doing amazing at, or he can rush. Low risk, high reward to me. I love this. I love this trade. I love the potential that he brings, and I hope he brings it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of potential there, and it just comes down to, can he produce and can he stay healthy long enough to actually show that, yes, I've had, injuries in the past and haven't been able to play a whole season, but look what you did with Christian. You got Christian McCaffrey. I don't remember the trade fully, but I think it was pretty decent to cheap. And
it was Christian McCaffrey was a 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I've always loved about Randy Gregory is just that year in free agency when Dallas had the deal on the table, and all of a sudden at the last moment, his agent found wording that said if he got caught smoking marijuana or something like that, that he was going to have to forego some of his guaranteed money. And he's just like, really? Screw you. I'm going where it's legal. Kiss my butt. He's just like, he's like, good luck trying to stop me because I don't care about the taxes anymore. I'm going where it's legal and it's my civil right. So,
I forgot he did that. I forgot there was that whole free agency debacle with him. That's so funny. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, I mean that's what I love. I remember telling a friend that who, he was like, well, they're smoking marijuana. I'm like, dude, it's legal in a bunch of states now, medicinal and other things, and the NFL just needs to get with the times. And good for Randy Gregory for not signing that stupid contract because he easily Denver. I mean, he could have gone to Seattle, anywhere in California, So, I mean,
yeah,
good for him. Good for him for flipping Dallas off.
I guess with seeing what time that we're at, I got one last thing to ask. All the buzz that I've been seeing in the last 24 hours, because we're taping after a lot of other Monday morning quarterbacking. We've already talked at nauseum about Christian McCaffrey possibly being MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. We touched on, we touched on Purdy potentially throwing his hat into the MVP race just now. But now, it's not that Nick Bosa is going to necessarily repeat. He's been somewhat quiet this year, but he's also been somewhat double-teamed a lot. But after this game, a lot of people are saying that this game cemented Fred Warner's nomination for Defensive Player of the Year. First off, how unprecedented that would be that a team would have two different players win the award in consecutive years. But also, what do we think of Fred Warner? Do we think that he actually should be considered the Defensive Player of the Year, whether it's specifically after this game or what he's been doing up to this point? Because honestly, like thinking about it, yeah, he did an amazing job this year or this game. But yeah, I mean, not to just say that our whole roster is full of MVPs or whatnot, but no, if you really sit and think about it, Fred Warner could make a great case for Defensive Player of the Year so far.
Did you watch the introductions on NBC and they have the PFF rankings by them? Did you see that? Fred Warner was...
I didn't memorize all of them, but yeah.
I looked at Fred Warner's and I was surprised that he was like 10. Number 10 out of like how many? I'm like, really? If he didn't cement himself as the best linebacker in the freaking league yesterday, I don't know what PFF is freaking doing because literally he could do no wrong yesterday. And he was just all over the field making plays. The guys, I mean, I can't see a better linebacker than him. I mean, there's definitely... I love Cunningham and Morrow on my team, but they're no Fred Warner. I mean, Fred Warner,
he was covering who was it? Cooks. He was covering Cooks on just a downfield, like 50-yard pass attempt. He was covering him.
Yeah. I mean, what linebacker are you going to get in the league that can do that?
Dude, he can rush. He can pass cover. He can stuff the run itself. Like, literally the last 4 years, only one of those years he wasn't named an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler. And he was still named a Pro Bowler like the last 4 years in a row. It was just 3 of the last 4 he's been named an All-Pro. And he looks like he's still not only making a case for All-Pro, making a case for Defensive Player of the Year this year. I don't know, call it reactionary, but I think he could really make a case for it. I mean, did you see that in the highlights, Mike?
I can see the hype behind it. It was like 5:00 this morning when I watched. But I mean, you made the point, Dan, that Bosa was double covered. So it doesn't surprise me that someone like Warner stands out and shines in a game like this, where they realize, okay, if we're going to try to protect Dak and try to move the ball and score on these guys, we've got to neutralize the biggest threat. The biggest threat on defense, if you ask me, and it technically is not a Ohio State bias, it's Nick Bosa. I mean, the dude, like you said, won Defensive Player of the Year last year. So, I mean, you know, and with double teaming, it does, like I said, it does allow and open up to other people to shine, because you have to double team one guy and then you're leaving one guy open.
All right, and we're back. Sorry about that little technical interruption there. James, we were just talking off mic. You had one last thing that you wanted to say about the game before we talk about our sponsors and whatnot.
So yeah, we talk about how Kyle has gotten more aggressive since Brock Purdy has been at the helm. However, I texted Dan about this. The opening drive, Dallas's defense is on the rope. You kick an extra point with Jake Moody. However, there was a lining up in the neutral zone infraction on the Cowboys. Kyle decides to take the 5 yards on the kickoff instead of moving the ball 1 yard closer to the freaking end zone and having to go 1 yard for an extra point. Now, you maybe, they won 42-10, so why does it matter? I'll tell you why it matters, because in bigger games, at bigger moments, that 1 point could actually be the difference in a game. And this is not just me hollering. I've watched good coaches around the league. Hell, we saw Doug Peterson do it in a game in London. And Doug Peterson's done it many, many times before. He's taken points off the board to move 1 yard to go in for it, because the risk reward it's so much better to like go after that 1 point, because what's freaking 5 yards on a kickoff? It's just going to go through the end zone. It's just going to go through the end zone no matter what you do. Move it 5 yards back, 5 yards forward, it's going out the end zone.
Right.
So yeah.
With our offense, I completely understand. I mean, I know I texted you, slow your roll, dude. It's literally the first drive of the game. But your rationale does make sense. With our offensive line playing as good as it is, which I don't know the numbers, I feel like we definitely have a top 5 offensive line. I don't know what metrics are if we're not. But but yeah, I don't know. I was cool with it, and we still won in the end. But no, that is some interesting food for thought, though, going down the line. Mike, it looked like you had something to add to that.
Yeah, so I just have a question for you guys, kind of a general question.
Sure.
So when you see a team go for 2, I'm glad you brought this up, James. When you see a team go for 2, it's usually out of the shotgun. Why? It should be under center. And
not everybody can do the brotherly shove, Buckeye Mike.
The tush
the tush push, the brotherly shove. We've seen around the league. A lot of teams can't even replicate it. The Giants are so inept at running it that they got 2 guys injured on it. So yeah, it's
a misdirection. Everybody assumes when you're that close and you only got to get 1 yard, you're going to run it. So a misdirection.
I mean,
set the quarterback back, have somebody run in motion, and then you hand it off. You caught him off guard, or you throw it and catch him off guard because they thought it was going to be a run. It's misdirection.
Yeah, I just don't get that. Kyle, just why wouldn't you think of that? Why wouldn't you have a play for that? Why wouldn't you be aggressive there and take the extra point?
Brock Purdy's not that short. He could have just jumped the line.
Exactly. There's a million ways that Kyle Shanahan could have figured out to get 1 yard to get in the end zone, and he just gave up a point. And in the grand scheme of things, 42 points, 43 points doesn't matter. But in tight games, opening drive, when you have the team on the ropes, and you can get an extra yard just to get 1 point. I mean, it just makes too much sense not to go for it there. But
fun fact, one last nerd stat you just reminded me of. I can't remember who said it, but they kept track of how many points we've scored on opening drives. We have scored 31 points. All of them were touchdowns except for our opening drive against the Giants. Number 1 in the league on opening drive scoring. I just do with that what you will. We're very, very good at setting the tone with our offense.
Yeah,
pretty sure they said it on the broadcast because I do remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard it after the fact on a separate podcast. I'm not going to plug them, but
yeah.
Anyway, we are pushing time a little bit on this one. So I think, James, it's time for us to talk about our charity and our sponsor first. I will let you all know Shady Sports is the promo code. I get this mixed up every time. You're going to use our promo code Shady Sports at royalretros.com. What is royalretros.com? It's your go-to place to go get yourself an authentic throwback jersey. All the major sports are covered there. Basketball, baseball, football, hockey, whatever you need for a throwback jersey. You want to wear it to stand out in the crowd or to reminisce on when your team is a little better than they are right now necessarily. Go to royalretros.com and get yourself your authentic throwback jersey. And you can use our promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off your entire order. Again, it's Shady Sports in the promo code section to get 10% off your entire order at royalretros.com. Go get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. James.
All right, guys. As you know, we've taken up a mantle of bringing owner accountability to the NFL. And all we're asking is that the NFL report on its owners, just like it does the players, but it hasn't. They've let news sort of slip out through other outlets when they knew about it for months, years. I'm thinking about starting a hashtag that just says release the blackmail PowerPoint. Let's just start the hashtag because it just needs to come out. NFL, rip the Band-Aid off. Tell us about everybody. And let's just get it over with. Why, but I have a funny feeling that, stuff's going to we're going to go 5-6 years with this freaking campaign because the NFL is just who they are, the freaking shield. They just do whatever they want. And so to put our money where our mouth is, guys, we are selling T-shirts for charity. If you look up the Houston Texans minority owner and what he did, he is charged with very serious criminal sexual charges in the state of Kentucky. So we have decided to raise money by selling T-shirts for a Kentucky crisis center. And Dan's going to show you right here what they look like. First of all, this is our statement, what we were saying. Owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. That's what we are asking for in the NFL. This is our point. This is the whole reason why we're doing the campaign, not just to raise money, but to bring awareness to these NFL owners who are just sort of going under the radar and from the NFL. And the NFL knows they're dirty, but they don't report on them. Our next shirt is the owner standoff shirt. We got Dan Snyder in the middle, facing off with the other owners in a standoff. This one is charity, $22.99. Get you that T-shirt. All T-shirts start at $22.99. This is our podcast logo art. You'll find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and all those places where you get your podcast. You can have it on a T-shirt, $22.99, and you can get it in different styles as well. Next, we have our alternate logo, the Niner Nuts red shirt. I have this shirt. Really nice quality, $22.99, starts at a T-shirt, and we got other different styles as well with that. You can even get it in a hoodie. I had somebody buy it in a hoodie just a couple weeks ago. And next, we have our Niner Nuts official mascot. How can you say no to a peanut, eating peanuts, sitting on the couch, rooting for his 49ers? That's a Niner Nuts T-shirt, $22.99, starting to get that T-shirt.
Absolutely. And like James was saying, the community that football creates is wonderful, but when things like this happen, we just need to hold each other accountable, whether it's for something like this or something worse, or just owners need to be held accountable, just the same as players do, just the same as fans do when they're in the stands. It's, I don't know, when bad things happen, we need to show how good a community we are and hold each other accountable. And we want to, I don't know, this is something that we want to do to give back. And we don't want money for any of these shirts. We want you to just have a great shirt and know that you did a little piece to help make someone's life better.
Yeah, guys, just like Dan said, all the proceeds go to charity. We're not making any money off these shirts because we want to do something for the community.
Yep. And with that, then, that is the end of this first episode of the week. We do have a game at 1:00 in Cleveland. We're going on the road. I don't remember if it's on CBS or Fox, but it's a 1:00 game. And yeah, we're going to the Dog Pound. What was that?
It should be Fox because it's NFC.
Yeah,
should be. I'll have that on tomorrow's episode specifically. I'll verify that. But yeah, the last thing that I have news-wise, I wanted to shout out Emmanuel Mosley, E-Man. He left us in free agency for the Lions. And according to Adam Schefter, I'm kind of just paraphrasing what he wrote, he tore his ACL with us in Week 5 against the Carolina Panthers last year. He came back Week 5, coincidentally, against the Carolina Panthers again, and he tore his ACL again. This was his right one. Last year was his left one, and I feel awful for him. E-Man was great with us. Great player, great guy. It's just, I don't know. I just wanted to send some love his way because I can't imagine what that's got to be like, tearing your ACL twice in 2 years.
Yeah, in a different leg too, nonetheless. So
yeah, just shout out to him. Mad love to him. And yeah, that's all I got.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
No offense, Mike. Beat the Browns.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way